Dylan, what is our next topic? I know that there's something we wanted to get into before we talked about the main thing.
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of Star Wars and speaking of fuck faces, the,
I didn't know how to like transition that well. My apologies, but I think speaking of fuck faces is very eloquent in this situation.
yeah, so our boys David Benioff and DB Weiss or whatever the fuck his name is, uh,
The
the
guys who we actually praised about a year ago when we heard they were going to get a Star Wars trilogy.
oh yeah, I was all about it. Obviously, if you listen to the pod with when we talked about the Game of Thrones
Mm,
finale, um, we aren't too big of fans of Benioff and Weiss and how
no.
they handled the final show, and I purposely think that they just wanted to get the fuck out of there, didn't really care how it ended, and just wanted to get onto their Star Wars stuff rather than handing it off to someone else. And a lot of stories that come out now how the cast really wasn't a fan of the ending. Miguel Sapochnik came out and basically said that they were dictators on the set during the Battle of Winterfell, which probably should have been the biggest battle episode of the entire show, and like half of us couldn't even see it. I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess Sapochnik questioned like why they weren't killing off more people of with bigger names in that episode
Mm.
than they ended up doing it, and I guess they basically told him to like fuck off and just shoot it.
It was
So
like,
yeah, it turns
okay,
out
great.
their reckoning, their crucifixion was going to end up being Comic Con, where they're going to just end up getting flooded with booze and
Mm.
questions about why they completely just fucked over the final season of Game of Thrones. And it turns out, like I think the day before, or their Comic Con, their panel's actually scheduled for tomorrow, and they ended up dropping out today.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Because when I heard they were going, I was like, okay, a little bit of respect there, because you have to know what they're in for. But then to drop out the day before, it's like, okay, I don't have any respect for you guys at all anymore. Like,
Yeah,
what
I
is
mean,
this?
the only thing I think it benefits is the actors that are going to be there on that panel, which I think it's Maisie Williams, Isaac Hempstead Wright, the guy that plays Grey Worm, uh, John Bradley, who played Samuel,
Mhm.
Jamie Lannister. Actually, I'm surprised Jon Snow's not on that. So I guess it kind of leaves it open to them where they're because I don't think they'll be booed because obviously they
Oh,
didn't have a
no.
creative
They're
decision in
all
that.
awesome still.
But fuck that, man. Like it was pretty well publicized that this was going to be them finally having to answer for that shit because they've basically been out of the public eye since
Hmm.
since that show aired. And like I said, I don't think they give a fuck. I think that they probably get off and enjoy this.
Hmm.
And I really think that they're just on to their Star Wars thing. And honestly, I really hope their Star Wars thing sucks. I'm not even rooting for like a good movie. I'm rooting, and they have a trilogy, dude. A trilogy.
Yeah.
Like they are going to be the after Rise of Skywalker. They are going to be the next three Star Wars movies we have to see. And I keep
Right.
hearing people say like, oh man, like it's going to be their own content. Like this should be good. And then I
Hmm.
see other people on the other side seeing like, oh, like when they're adapting stuff, that's when they're at their best. I'm like, okay, what are they adapting? Because half of the Star Wars extended universe is no longer canon.
Hmm.
So I don't know what they're adapting from that. And I think the longest running rumor was that they were going to be doing Knights of the Old Republic,
Right.
but I don't think that's confirmed that that's what they're doing.
Hmm.
Because oh, excuse me, the mic. So I don't know. I don't really have the. I guess we'll see. Because I personally I think their true colors were shown once George R. R. Martin left that show and they were really away from the books. Obviously, because their two weakest seasons were the final two seasons, which were the furthest away from the book.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. It sucks because I was really curious. I think they really deserve to be booed. They deserve to at least answer questions about why they did some of the decisions they did with the final season.
Hmm.
And at this point, I don't know if we'll get it like for 10 years down the road once they do like an Entertainment Weekly article or some shit like that. But it sucks. It sucks that they suck. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I used to be on the other end of this argument where before this final season, I said that George R. R. Martin was to blame because I didn't think that they signed up to write fan fiction for the final two seasons.
Hmm.
And now it turns out I think George R. R. Martin was probably like, fuck them. Like they want to take my story and like run with it by themselves.
Hmm.
And this is just me like guessing. And that's why he left. And he also probably wanted to finish his books, quote unquote. But obviously we haven't got that yet.
Hmm.
It's been 8 years since the last book came out. The last book came out right before season one aired. So
Right.
it's been quite some time. So like I guess if you're a fan of the books over the shows, you obviously want some answers from George R. R. Martin. But now I'm obviously on the other side where I say fuck Weiss and fuck Benioff, and
Mm.
it's part of me. I don't think it'll happen at this point because they're too close, and I think they're getting ready to start casting the movies. But I kind of hope they end up getting pulled from Star Wars, which won't happen.
Right.
But
I mean, Star Wars has had certainly a tumultuous experience with, I think, the Ryan Johnson trilogy got canned. Is that right?
something, yeah, because they're confirmed that the next 3 movies after Rise of Skywalker. I think their first movie is 2021, maybe, or maybe 2022. So
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I think Ryan Johnson might be doing a show now on like the Disney streaming thing for Star Wars. I could be wrong though.
I mean, that could be good. I mean, obviously, like I said, I didn't love The Last Jedi, but I am a really, really big fan of Ryan Johnson's other works. Brick, for example, is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I really liked Looper as well as his directing efforts on Breaking Bad. So, I'm not against Ryan Johnson still having a hand in Star Wars stuff going forward.
No, he's kind of. I kind of view him on the other side of the argument where like Benioff and Weiss need something to adapt. I think he would be better. Ryan Johnson would be better at not having to adapt something, which is tough. Because I think a lot of the director decisions he made in that movie, like the shot of the throne room, that's one of my favorite shots in Star Wars when Rey gets the lightsaber back and they all fight the Red Troopers. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I just watched that the other day on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, this still is dope.
It's one of my favorite shots in all of Star Wars. So I think he's definitely talented. Obviously, like as we said like 3 times already, we weren't that big of fans of Last Jedi, but I think given his own stuff, he'd probably really fly with it because I think that's kind of what he tried to do with this too, was make a different Star Wars movie, and he sure did. But
well, it's hard too because he was building off of all these
that's
things that Abrams just set up that he wasn't interested in.
This day and age too, because like George Lucas only directed, I think, A New Hope, and I think Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi he wrote but didn't direct, and then obviously he directed the prequels.
Yeah.
But I think that he was also pretty much like he wasn't the director, but he was also like he was kind of the director with those movies. Where this one, like JJ was still a producer, and they also go off. I really don't think that they went off his storyline though. Like I really don't. I really find it very hard to believe that The Last Jedi was the direction they want to take. But I don't know. We're getting too far off track. I digress. We're getting off track.
No, I mean, it still kind of has to do with our main topic of the day if we're talking about Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Especially the original trilogy. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think you're right. I think this is better for the actors because now it can, instead of being like a pretty negative experience, now it can just be a celebration of the actors at Comic-Con.
That's the other big thing too. This is pretty much the Game of Thrones final farewell. This Comic-Con, because obviously Comic-Con San Diego is the biggest on the world. So this is like going to be a nice goodbye to them. And yeah, I feel better for the actors. They won't have to deal with them, those shitheads. And like I said, for a lot of what I read and understand, a lot of the actors and the crew aren't too happy with them. So